Jack and Tu Tien's wedding a fragile. Happiness amidst dark schemes. Jack and Tu Tien's wedding was held at a luxurious restaurant in the city where sparkling lights and lavish decorations created a magnificent scene. After overcoming numerous challenges and hardships, they finally decided to tie the knot. This wasn't just a special day for Jack and Tu Tien, but also a source of joy for their family's ESP, especially Jack's mother, who always adored 2 trillion tons as if she were her own daughter. The restaurant, located in the heart of the city, was elegantly decorated. Rows of chairs draped in white cloth, tables adorned with red roses, and flickering candles exuded an air of sophistication and refinement. Guests arrived early, including close friends and family members of the newlyweds. The atmosphere was filled with laughter, but behind those smiles, a sinister plot was slowly taking shape. Toan, who had secretly loved Tu Tien, couldn't bear the thought of her marrying Jack. He had long harbored a plan to destroy their relationship, and the wedding day was the perfect opportunity to execute it, knowing that directly confronting Jack would be too risky. Toan chose to sabotage from within, hoping to shatter their happiness on this most important day. The final preparations as the wedding day approached. 2 trillion tons was filled with both excitement and happiness. She had been looking forward to this day for so long, the day she would officially become Jack's wife, the man she loved and trusted. Everything was meticulously planned, from Tu Tien's stunning bridal gown to Jack's sharp suit and the guest list. Tu Tien wore a pristine white wedding dress adorned with sparkling crystals that shimmered like dewdrops, highlighting her gentle and graceful beauty. Jack couldn't take his eyes off Tu Tien as she walked out in her gown. She looked so breathtakingly beautiful that he couldn't believe this was the woman who would walk by his side for the rest of his life. However, behind the flawless appearance of the day, Toan was quietly setting his dark plan into motion. He had already hired people to ruin the wedding, spreading rumors to tarnish Jack's reputation, and orchestrating disruptions. During the ceremony, Toan knew that weddings were often emotionally charged, and even a small mishap could break the couple's happiness. The big day begins. A plot in the shadows. The wedding day arrived, and the restaurant was filled with light and music. Guests continued to arrive, offering their best wishes to the happy couple. Jack's mother stood proudly by his side, smiling contentedly as she watched her son finally find the love of his life. She had always treated Tu Tien like a daughter and had eagerly awaited this day. The ceremony went as planned, with Jack and Tu Tien exchanging vows in a sweet and touching atmosphere. But behind this peaceful scene, Toan had planted people among the restaurant staff to carry out the first phase of his plan. The party went smoothly until Toan started sending fake messages from Tien's phone, trying to create misunderstandings between her and Jack. He made it seem like Tu Tien had been involved with someone else before the wedding, hoping to make Jack doubt her love. But Jack, known for his calm and level-headed nature, didn't fall for such petty tricks. He trusted Toan and their relationship, frustrating Toan even more. Not stopping there, Toan had spiked the champagne with drugs, aiming to cause an incident that would disrupt the event. He hoped that if one of the guests fell ill, the wedding would turn into a disaster. However, his plan was foiled when one of the staff members noticed something suspicious and prevented the sabotage. In time, Toan had also carefully planned to sabotage the restaurant's sound and lighting system, just as Jack and Tu Tien were about to cut the wedding cake. The entire lighting system suddenly went out, plunging the restaurant into darkness. A few guests screamed in panic, and for a brief moment, Toan thought his scheme had succeeded. However, Jack and Tu Tien remained calm, holding hands and standing firm in the face of the disruption. Jack quickly reassured everyone, and the rest staff fixed the issue shortly after confronting Toan. The truth unveiled, unable to contain his frustration from his failed attempts. Toan decided to make a personal appearance at the wedding. He walked in with a face full of resentment and jealousy, heading straight for Jack and Tu Tien. Toan didn't hesitate to publicly insult Jack, deliberately causing a scene to ruin the celebration. Jack, always composed in every situation, didn't let Toan's words affect him. He held Tu Tien's hand tightly, showing his resolve to protect their love from Toan's hateful words. Toan, though heartbroken by Toan's actions, knew that her love with Jack was strong enough to withstand any challenge. Finally, Jack broke his silence. He stood up, looked Toan in the eye, and exposed all the dirty tricks Toan had been plotting. Toan, speechless in the face of Jack's intelligence and poise, had no choice but to leave the wedding in humiliating defeat. Jack and Tu Tien's true happiness. After Toan's departure, Jack and Tien's wedding returned to its peaceful state, continuing with joy and happiness their close friends and family shared in their celebration. And the love between Jack and Tu Tien only grew stronger after the trials they had endured. In the end, they proved that true love can overcome any jealousy schemes or attempts to destroy it. Jack and Tu Tien walked forward on the path of happiness, knowing that no force could ever tear them apart. Toan's threats in the battle. 2 trillion tons. Can Jack overcome the battle between Jack and Toan? Wasn't just about love for Tu Tien, it was a confrontation between two men with different ideals and values. While Jack loved Tu Tien with all his heart, Toan saw her as something he could possess, something that could be won with power and money. For a long time, Toan had silently pursued Tu Tien, but her heart had already belonged to Jack, a man who won her over with kindness, care, and resilience. This was something Toan couldn't stand, and he was determined to win Tu Tien back at any cost. Toan and the threat from his wealthy family, it wasn't just jealousy and ambition fueling Toan. He also had a huge advantage: his mother's backing. His mother, Maria, a wealthy Vietnamese expatriate, had been living abroad for many years and now owned a large business empire. With her financial power and vast connections, Maria wasn't just a strong pillar of support for Toan, she was also ready to help her son get anything he wanted. Maria had long envisioned Toan marrying someone with status and wealth. Upon learning about Jack and Tien's relationship, she strongly opposed it. In her eyes, Jack wasn't worthy of her son, and she was determined to use her money and influence to destroy Jack and bring Tu Tien back to Toan with his mother's support. Toan began exec in his plan to threaten and pressure Jack. He knew that a direct confrontation might not work, so he opted for more subtle tactics, aiming to crush Jack financially and emotionally. Financial pressure and psychological tactics. Toan used every resource at his disposal, from business connections to underhanded tactics, to apply pressure on Jack. He started spreading false rumors about Jack, seeming to ruin his reputation. Important business deals Jack was working on suddenly fell through, and his partners began distancing themselves. All of this was orchestrated by Toan and Maria, working behind the scenes. But Toan didn't stop there. He hired powerful individuals to create more problems for Jack. Threatening phone calls began to come in, targeting both Jack and his loved ones. Jack knew this was Toan's way of trying to break him down and force him to give up on 2 trillion tons, but Jack, with his unwavering resolve, stood his ground. He believed that his love for 2 trillion tons would survive any hardship. Tu Tien, while deeply worried for Jack, couldn't do much to stop Toan's schemes. She repeatedly urged Jack to avoid conflict and focus on his work, but Jack knew that Toan wouldn't stop until he took Tu Tien for himself. For Jack, facing Toan wasn't just about protecting his love, it was about defending his honor and dignity. The intense confrontation, the battle between Jack and Toan, extended beyond the workplace and into their personal lives. Toan often showed up unexpectedly wherever Jack and Tu Tien were deliberately creating awkward situations he didn't hesitate to provoke. Jack constantly reminding him of his past relationship with Tu Tien, doing everything he could to make Jack feel inferior in one direct confrontation. Toan even offered Jack a large sum of money to leave to Tien, knowing that Jack was struggling financially due to Toan's sabotage. He hoped Jack would consider the offer. However, Jack didn't waver. He looked Toan in the eye and said, "You might be able to buy many things with money, but my love for Tu Tien isn't one of them. I won't leave her just because you have power and wealth." Jack's firmness only made Toan angrier. Toan realized that simply relying on money wouldn't win him to Tien's heart, but with his mother's backing, Toan was still confident that he could break Jack and ultimately win Tu Tien. Maria, the determined mother. Maria wasn't just financially supporting Toan, she directly intervened. In this battle, she arranged a private meeting with Jack where she offered him peace in exchange for leaving Tu Tien. Maria believed that with her wealth and influence, she could easily convince Jack to walk away, but Jack, steadfast in his principles, refused her offer. He understood that Maria was a powerful and determined woman, but his love for 2 trillion tons was something that money couldn't buy. This refusal only made Maria more resolute. She didn't want to see her son fail, and she began using all her power to make life difficult for Jack. Maria influenced Jack's business partners, causing him to lose several important opportunities. The projects Jack had worked hard to build were suddenly jeopardized, and his future seemed uncertain. Yet Jack didn't give in and held firm to his belief in his love for Tu Tien. Can Jack defeat Toan? The battle between Jack and Toan wasn't just a fight between two men, it was a clash of two forces. On one side was Jack, representing sincere love and determination. On the other side was Toan, with power and his mother's vast support. Marie, a formidable woman of influence. Everything seemed to be in Toan's favor, but the one thing he could never win was Tu Tien's heart. Despite the hardships, Jack never gave up. He knew that his love for Tu Tien was the most valuable thing, and he was willing to face any challenge to protect it. Toan, with all his power and his mother's backing, still couldn't defeat the true love that Jack and Tu Tien shared. In the end, what Toan and Maria couldn't foresee was the strength of real love. No matter how much money or power they had, they couldn't change the fact that Tu Tien had chosen Jack, and their love couldn't be broken by any scheme or threat. In this battle, Jack may not have had the wealth that Toan possessed, but he had something far greater: the sincerity, courage, and unwavering love of Tu Tien, and that was the strength that helped Jack win the fight against Toan.